Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. We are presented by BetUS. It's our sportsbook partner. Once again, for the 2021 season, go over to chatsports.com/GoBlue. It'll redirect you to our page on BetUS. Use that promo code GoBlue when you make your first deposit. 125% deposit bonus. There's all kinds of fun to be had this year. Maybe some money to be made with betting on college football, NFL, etc. So go over to chatsports.com/GoBlue. Use that promo code GoBlue. Start the show today. Ask you this question. I'm going to pin this question below the video, so scroll right down, answer it, and I'll give my answer here too. How long have you been a Michigan fan? You can give me years. You can give me the year. Or if you can just say, hey, I remember this player being the part of my memory. If you're a little older, you might be going back, I remember Dennis Franklin. That's when I've been a Michigan fan. The first season I remember vividly, or at least some aspects of it, 1991 season. Trying maybe aging myself here a little bit. Sam, my producer, was even born for like another 8 years. But young boy, I think I went to my first Michigan game, I think in 1989, Michigan-Ohio State or something. I don't remember the details. I went to like 2 games prior to that when I was a young, spry boy. But let me know. Scroll down in the comments and answer that question. We'll see, who's been the fan the longest. All right, we've got a Michigan football mailbag. We are 10 days away. Tom Brady wore number 10 at Michigan. 10 days away from the Michigan football season. Nick Koyman, Kooiman, are you going to give up your crown since you are no longer the king of Michigan football videos? Well, he might be talking and maybe trying to jab me that Michigan podcast, I guess got a few more subscribers. They're probably paying for them, probably bots. I didn't say it, but you heard me whisper it. But no, okay, still the king of Michigan football media. I don't proclaim it anymore because it's just so obvious. But let's talk about the 2 platforms where anybody has any sort of relevant, I guess maybe even 3 platforms in the Michigan football media on the internet. Twitter, I'm crushing. You look at my likes, mentions, comments versus Sloppy Sam's or Brandon Brown or any of these other bums. I dominate them. They have more followers. I get way more engagement, way more retweets, etc. And then YouTube, we get the most views, slightly behind Michigan Podcast. And our Facebook page is like 67,000. That's where Nick came in. Followers, I think 24/7's Facebook page is a little bit bigger, but they bought that, and it was all funneled by that 24/7 Sports CBS acquisition. Sam and the boys over there didn't really do the grunt work to get that. So still king. Maybe I got to start telling a little more so you guys who haven't watched the show in the past don't forget. Andrew Merritt, also coming in from that Facebook page. Just look up Michigan Football by Chat Sports, Michigan Wolverines by Chat Sports, I think it is, on Facebook. He says, what will it take for McCarthy to get in the game if he's not already starting? I don't think he will. I'm pretty confident that it's going to be Cade McNamara, as Jim Harbaugh said. Do we have to take a loss or get close to losing? It was tough watching all the mental errors from Patterson and Milton and no change. ASAP, we have everything to gain. What does it say? Throw them in, coach. I guess that in threw me off there a little bit. Throw them in, coach. Well, he's going to be on a short lease. Cade McNamara is not a proven quarterback by any means. And frankly, last year, Joe Milton should have been on a shorter lease. It took Michigan being down 17 points in the first half to Rutgers to give Cade McNamara a start. With anybody with a brain could have told you that Cade McNamara, at least what we saw, threw a better ball, understood football, and understood the offense they were trying to run better. So it's pretty interesting. I'm not necessarily sure what it will take, but this is year 3 of the offense for Josh Gattis. If this team does not get off to a decent start against Western Michigan next Saturday, you got a Washington night game, a top 20 Washington team coming in the week after that. If Michigan struggles against Western Michigan, if they don't score at least 35 points or more, maybe 20 plus in the first half, you got to give J.J. McCarthy a shot, because you got to figure out, is it the quarterback or is it the scheme, the coaching? I disagree with you said about Shea Patterson. He did struggle at times in early 2019, took a little bit of a rib injury, if I recall correctly, that they didn't disclose until after the season. So Dylan McCaffrey, Joe Milton weren't better than Shea in those 2 seasons. It was obvious, because look what they've gone on to do. Dylan McCaffrey had to go down a level. Joe Milton got 3-4 starts last year, and now he's at Tennessee, did nothing at Michigan. So the backup quarterback syndrome that fans like to have, that was never true with either of those guys. But here's the question for you guys. I'm going to go with 4, because I haven't seen enough of Cade McNamara, and we don't necessarily know about what J.J. McCarthy's done. How many games will J.J. McCarthy start this season? When I say 4, I don't necessarily even think that Cade McNamara is going to get pulled, but he did get injured last year, right? He got one start, I believe it was, against Penn State after the Rutgers game and got hurt, right? Trying to stretch for the end zone. So I would say that 4 is just where I'm going to put the number at. It could be either a combination of Cade McNamara is not playing great. They pull McCarthy in, and if McCarthy plays good, then he gets to keep the job. Maybe it'll go over 4. Or it could be Cade McNamara gets hurt for a stretch. They give McCarthy a shot at the job. Either way, I doubt that, if Cade McNamara starts all 12 games, that'd be a good thing in my opinion. Michael Crabtree. Is James even a Michigan fan? I am not a Michigan fan. I am the Michigan fan, okay? I live and breathe and die around the Wolverines, and this last stretch of the 2020 season crushed me, but I'm not a sugarcoater. And by the way, Michael Crabtree, is this the Michael Crabtree from Texas Tech? I don't know. It's kind of an odd name to have multiple people having it. So it might be the former NFL football player, former 49ers, was the Raiders as well, I think he was. Texas Tech, great. If not, interesting name. But I'm the biggest Michigan football fan. I want nothing more than this program to absolutely crush it, to take down Ohio State, to win every game they have. But I also don't lie, right? Especially about this program. Maybe lie about some other things here and there. Not about this football program. We all know where they're at. This is a 7-5 team based on what we know, 6-6 maybe. But we're hoping Jim Harbaugh, digs into that bag of tricks he had in 2015 and pulls out a 10-win season. We will see if he is able to do so. But I'm taking a little bit of Twitter hiatus until next Thursday, so you won't have much from me over the next 8 days. But once the season gets started, at James Yoder is the only place to be, especially on Michigan football game days. I'll be putting out highlights. Every time Michigan has a sweet play, you'll see it on my Twitter account. I put out all sort of nuggets before the game, and maybe if a guy's not, dressing, if there's anything that we're hearing from sources in and around the program leading up to game day. I think I'm a pretty fun follow. Half sarcasm, half information. Go follow me at James Yoder on Twitter. David coming in, no last name for David. He is the Madonna of YouTube. He says, if they don't feed HH like they should, meaning Hassan Haskins, it sends a signal to other skilled players in particular that guys who have been there and earned a chance to be the guy won't get the chance to play that they deserve. And I agree. Right, Josh Gattis' handling of the running backs, and maybe it was Jay Harbaugh as well as the running backs coach last year. He was a disaster, and I have to ask this question: is Josh Gattis in over his head? He had never called plays before the 2019 season. You roll out Michigan's maybe most star-studded offense since 2007 in the 2019 season. Remember, 2007, you had Mike Hart, you had Chad Henne, you had Jake Long, you had Mario Manningham, Adrian Arrington, just an absolutely star-studded for college, and a lot of those guys went on to do some great things in the pros. Jake Long, number 1 pick. In 2019, he inherited let's see, Ronnie Bell, of course, who was a freshman or sophomore at the time. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's in the NFL. Nico Collins, who's in the NFL. Tariq Black, who's trying to make an NFL roster. But all three of those guys, the last 3, were juniors with all kinds of accolade. People said, Michigan's got the best wide receiver core in the country coming back. It didn't turn out that way at all. 5-star quarterback in Shea Patterson. And you had 5 offensive linemen in 2019 that got drafted on that team. The only question mark going into the season was running back, and Zach Charbonnet got a little bit there, but I thought Hassan Haskins was the best back that year. I thought he was the best back last year, and I believe he'll be the best back going into this season. The 4-back rotation they tried last year was trash. They need to give Hassan Haskins the ball if he proves to be the right guy. 15 times a game, 20 times a game, and let those other guys get 3, 4, 5 carries to spell him, or maybe in garbage time, hopefully in a win. And if one of those guys proves to be better, maybe you get towards splitting. But given 4 guys or 3 guys, 6 carries, it's just a bad situation. We saw it happen last year, and Michigan's running game did not exist. Answer this question, though. Just give me an O or a U in the comments. Over and under for Hassan Haskins rushing touchdowns this season, right? We remember a couple years ago, Zach Charbonnet broke the Michigan freshman record. I don't remember what he had, but I think the record was like 8 or 9 for a true freshman. He had at least had 11, I believe. I'll go back and look at the numbers for the next show. But can Hassan Haskins beat that number of 9.5 rushing touchdowns? Give me an O for over. Give me a U for under. Producer in my ear said it was 11 touchdowns for Charbonnet in the 2019 season. So can Hassan Haskins get 9.5? I'm going to go over. I think I'm going to go over. I'm going to go with that one. Let me know. Give me an O or U. I'll count those up, and we will declare a winner of the Michigan Football Report audience. And if you're watching the show for the first time, welcome. If you haven't watched it before, I got to ask you why you haven't done this yet. Subscribe to the channel. We will be putting out a video every single day in the month of September. Videos right after the game, morning after. We'll give you our instant thoughts. And maybe at some point this season we'll do some live stuff. I don't know. I haven't been big on the live train, but if you don't want to miss a video from us, you gotta subscribe. So when you go onto YouTube, you see the channel, you see our content, and if you put on notifications, you will of course get a notification every time we publish a video. It is youtube.com/Michigan TV. Next question coming in from our Facebook page, Mike Reeves. How long do you go with starting QB if he's not performing? Very similar question to the earlier one on, because Patterson should have been pulled at times. All right, the reason we pulled this one in, separated it from the other one, is because I did want to talk a little more quarterbacks, but I also wanted to, some people call me a Shea Patterson apologist, whatever. But it's been proven out. He was the best quarterback by 100 miles, maybe 1,000 miles. And that might be a typo. I think it should be 1,000 miles now when I think about it. Joe Milton was not a good quarterback, right? At least in Michigan. Maybe he does something in Tennessee this year. Who knows? It's pretty clear Dylan McCaffrey wasn't a good quarterback, or he would have got picked up somewhere else and not been at Northern Colorado with his dad. And Cade McNamara in the 2019 season was a true freshman, number 4 on the depth chart. So there's a lot of revisionist history going back. If you look at Michigan's passing game in 2017, 2020 with Joe Milton, 2017 with Brandon Peters and John O'Corn and Willen Spate, 2020 with Joe Milton and Cade McNamara. The 2 seasons in there, just look at the offense in general. Shea Patterson, in a lot of ways, saved Jim Harbaugh's job. The 2017 offense in the passing game, where you went 12 straight games without a receiver catching a touchdown pass, was absolutely abysmal. Shea Patterson came in, and the 2018 offense, outside of a couple different instances, were phenomenal. Next one, though, it's year 7 for Jim Harbaugh, the second answer to this question, and quarterback is still an issue. I can only shake my head, because we look around at schools that Michigan and Michigan fans think they should be on par with, and Michigan just can't get it done. And the fact that Michigan's single-season passing record, I think it's like 3,100 yards, John Navarro in 2003, is kind of comical at this point, because there was like 27 quarterbacks in 2019 season that beat Michigan's single-season passing mark. And we're going into a season this year where, from all the things we're hearing, the passing game is just not where it needs to be. And so I'm shaking my head about that. Jim Harbaugh is not the quarterback whisperer he was in 2002 when he was the QB coach of the Raiders and had Rich Gannon being the NFL MVP, or with Josh Johnson at San Diego, or Andrew Luck at Stanford, or certainly not Colin Kaepernick at the 49ers. So how long? I guess I'll maybe finish by answering the question, is you've got to make sure that you've got the guy, and if you don't have the guy, if he's not making the offense move, you got to give somebody else a shot. So if Michigan doesn't score 2-3 touchdowns in the first half against Western Michigan, give J.J. McCarthy a start to begin the third quarter. BetUS is our presenting sponsor. Go to chatsports.com/GoBlue. Use that link, and you will then have the opportunity for that 125% deposit bonus. Simple math. You put in $100 in your first deposit, you get $125 extra dollars in your account. Put in $200, get an extra $250. The line, the spread for this game coming up next Saturday, Michigan is 17.5-point favorites against Western. The over-under is 67. Why that is notable and interesting, you can bet on both those. You can bet for Michigan or against Michigan. If you don't know what those numbers means, hit me on Twitter, ask in the comments, we'll answer them for you. 2018, producer Sam can help. He's our gambling guru around here. Michigan won 2018 49-3 with Shea Patterson at the helm. They were 27.5-point favorites that year, so 10-point favorites down from where they were 3 years ago. Over-under is 54. So this says to me, obviously, Michigan not as good as that 2018 team, and that the Michigan defense is certainly nowhere as good, because 67-point spread. That means that in a lot of ways, the sports books expect the likely outcome of this game probably to be around, 45-21, 45-28, 20, something like that. So Michigan's certainly not going to keep them to 3 points like they did a few years ago. Michigan 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games, 0-5 in their last 5 games against the spread in 5 games on field turf, 0-4 in their last home games against the spread, and 1-5 in their last 6 non-conference games against the spread. So if you want to make some money, the smart play might actually be a bet against Michigan based on the recent trends that I just laid out for you. Chatsports.com/GoBlue. Use that promo code GoBlue. John Bryant coming in. How would adding Nebraska, or how would adding Kansas and ditching Nebraska be an upgrade? Clearly, this is a 1997 National Nebraska Championship season. Nebraska's floor is 3 wins, but I think that is Kansas' ceiling. This is kind of from left field. I don't know if this is directed at something I've said or there's an article on that, but the production staff here thought that this is a question we should put on there and address. And We'll address it. I don't think it would be, John. So if you read an article or somebody said that to you, I think that would be a pretty ridiculous idea. Kansas is a good basketball program, one of the top 5 programs in the country historically and consistently, but they're bringing nothing to the table in football, and that's what these deals and these realignments are all about. So if you add Kansas, cool if it's the 15th team, the 16th team, but to replace Nebraska, that would make no sense to me at all. But I'll ask this question if you're thinking holistically, who would be better for the Big Ten, Kansas or Nebraska? If you had to choose one of those, go down in the comments, type K for Kansas, type N for Nebraska. Interesting question from John. Not sure what the source or the reason why he was someone saying that Kansas should replace Nebraska. I don't know. I'm going to type my N's. Nebraska, although not nearly as powerful as they were 20 years ago, still one of the premier brands in all of college football. Todd B., he says, James, as an OSU fan, I thought he was calling me an OSU fan when I started reading this. Don't even think about it. So Todd is the OSU fan. He says, I gave you a lot of shit. All jokes aside and rivalry aside, I think it's cool to support these kids and everything they do. He says, Wypler hoodie, I'm sure it wasn't easy. LOL, bravo. OH. So if you guys haven't been on the internet last couple weeks, I kind of went mini viral a few weeks back. Michigan for Ohio State player pulled a month-old tweet of mine saying that perhaps fans would support, and this is a response to an Ohio State guy in my mentions, perhaps for the Stars, but do you think people are going to buy a $50 hoodie for Luke Wypler, who is projected to be a starter for Ohio State in the offensive line? Wypler took the shirt, sold it for $50 with my tweet on it and his logo. I went and bought one just to be a good support. Love to do this for Michigan players too. If they want me to talk trash about Twitter, I'll do that if they think it'll sell them jerseys. But he sold $7,000+ worth of those hoodies. So shout out to him. Thanks, Todd, for recognizing it, trying to be a good sport. Just because he plays for Ohio State, wish him nothing but the best off the field when he's not playing Michigan or impacting Michigan's future prospects. So if you didn't see that one, you can go check it out. Just look up Luke Wypler hoodie. And if you want to buy one, go ahead and go for it. But follow me on Twitter. You'll see all these antics that we play out there. It's at James Yoder. We're going to be back with more Michigan football news and rumors. I got my 5 stars of the fall camp. I got some more inside information on what the offense and the defensive depth charts will look like coming up in the next few days. Until then, go Blue.